Hello, I'm Will. I'm here with Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing you issue 53 of Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine in this video. This issue came with Pot of Mournfang Brown and Troll Slayer Orange paints. And as always, if you'd like to skip ahead to the battle report, you can use the chapter bar or a time code in the description if you want to do so. But we'll have a look inside the magazine first. We've got some background on Tempest's Eye, one of the cities of Sigmar in the Realm of Fire, and the forces from there, including the Tempest Lord's Stormcast Eternals, are known for their ability to strike with incredible speed and ferocity. There's also quite a lot of Caradron Overlord Sky Traders there. And then another of the cities of Sigmar, the Living City. This one's in the Realm of Life. This was built by Alariel herself using magic, and it stands as a bastion against the various forces warring over that realm. Then we have some background on Neferata. This is another of Nagash's Mortarchs. She is the first of the vampires from way back in the world that was. She likes scheming and intrigue rather than some of the brute force practiced by some of her fellow Mortarchs. There's her model there, like Manfred and Archon the Black that we've seen. She's mounted on her big Dread Abyssal. And there's also a bit about her domain of New Lamia here. Then we have Gorka Morka, the twin-headed god of destruction, who is both brutal but cunning, and also cunning but brutal, worshipped by the forces of destruction in various forms. And on the back there are some of his prophets, including the shamans of the Oryx, Ogor Butchers, and the shamans of the Gloomspite Gits Grots. Then painting guide, and we're using our two new paints to paint rust effects in this issue. So it explains that if you take a normal paint, like a base paint or a layer paint, and thin it down with a lot of water, you can actually use it as a kind of a wash. So you can stain things, as you can see in the pictures here, to create various effects, in this case rust. And then there's some advice on applying it here to the Nighthaunt collection, where you might want to apply it, and encourages you to think about how rust would form naturally on the metals. And then there's a more general painting guide for the Nighthaunt, which is just doing more details on models we've already painted. So there's quite a lot here. There's using Nihilakh Oxide to use as verdigris on some of the sort of bronze bits. We've got how to paint flames, like on the Dread Warden's candelabra. Leaves and vines, layering some of the bone areas and then highlighting with pallid witch flesh. And finally there's a gallery of finished ones to see how those effects look good, and they brought them up to the standard of some of the other models we've seen painted more recently. And there's just a few more over this page. With this issue we also get another fold-out insert. This one's about the Realm of Chaos, which is not one of the 8 mortal realms, it's the sort of hell dimension inhabited by the Chaos gods. And there's a bit about the Great Game here and how they all fight for supremacy amongst themselves, and then a little bit of backstory on all of their various domains which reflect their personalities. And on the other side there's a load of miniatures for the 4 Chaos gods. So we've got Khorne on the left, Tzeentch, then Nurgle, and then finally Slaaneish's demons on the right. That's it for the contents of this issue, so we'll head in to have a look at our new rules and get to our game.
So before we can get into our battle plan for this issue, we have to continue learning the rules for fighting on the Roman metal. So we have the Realmscape feature in this issue. Basically all this is that all the terrain on the board, in addition to any other terrain rules they have, also have the entangling rule. And what this does is you subtract 2 from any run and charge rolls to a minimum of 0 for units that are within an inch of any entangling terrain features when they start the run or charge. And over on the next page it just shows you how that applies to the terrain. There's an example there of some glaive race failing a charge because they started within an inch of the Sigmite runes there that have the entangling rule. And now we have the background for our battle plan. So this is from the perspective of a liberator called Telion, who's just arrived teleporting from Aesir to Shamon and then immediately in combat with some Nighthaunt, and thinks he's not going to survive the engagement. He's certainly going to give them what for. And here we have an overview of the sort of strategic situation. So the Nighthaunt are trying to prepare for a decisive strike against the Stormcast forces in the Sigyorn, while the Stormcast are trying to muster enough forces to go on the offensive rather than having to defend. And just shows some engagements here. Some humans and Dwalin teaming up with the Stormcast up in the Thunderhead Bastion, while down here in the south some Nighthaunt forces are engaged with some Chaos War tribes. And there are more Nighthaunt forces coming over the water down here by freezing the water and then going across on foot. But now we have our battle plan breakthrough. So the Stormcast reinforcements are trying to break through the Nighthaunt lines to meet up with their allies. So with the board set up, we have the 3 boards like last time. You can see the Stormcast territory is a 6-inch rectangle along the short edge of the middle battle mat, and then the Nighthaunt territory is 6 inches on the short edge of the entire board. And we're going to be using the rules for fighting the realm of metal, so the spells and the command ability we learned last week, and the new entangling feature this week. For terrain, we're going to have the Demonian of Sigmar statue, the Azerite Bell Tower, the Fallen Sigmar statue, and both Azerite ruins. The Stormcast player begins setting up first, and we alternate. So rather than having any objectives, the Stormcast player has to move off the board edge opposite their territory, so this whole long edge is what we're going to do. Basically, they can choose to move off the board, and in that case, they will earn a victory point, but the unit is removed from the battle. So the Stormcast player gets a victory point for each unit that escapes in that way, and the Nighthaunt player gains a victory point for each unit that is destroyed. And the game will last for 5 battle rounds, and whoever has the most victory point wins, and we have the same number of victory points as a tie. And finally, to look at the armies, the Nighthaunt have an execution horde consisting of Lord Executioner and 3 units of 1 Spirit Host, 2 units of 10 Chain Rasps, 2 Dreadblade Harrows, and the Knight of Shrouds and Ethereal Steed. While the Stormcast have the Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger, 3 Griff Hounds, 4 Liberators, 3 Prosecutors, 5 Sequitors, and the Knight Azeros. That was the overview for the battle. We'll come back after we finish deploying, and we'll be rolling off for the Who See goes first. So, finished deploying, we'll just do a quick overview of the battlefield. Over here on the left-hand battle map, we have an Azerite Ruin and a sinister Statue of Sigmar. In the middle, we have another Azerite Ruin, along with an inspiring Sigmar Fallen Head. And on the right, we have the Bell Tower. I'll go over the Stormcast deployment first.
Well, as you see it, we've got the Griff Hounds on the far right, then the unit of Liberators, try and go through the gap there. Flying units in the middle, so the Knight Azeros and the Prosecutors, because they can fly straight over the top of the ruin. And then the Lord Arcanum and the 5 Sequitors over on the left.
And for the Nighthaunt deployment on the left, my left-hand territory, I have a Dreadblade Harrow, 1 unit of 10 Chain Rasps, and the Lord Executioner with 2 of the Spirit Hosts. And over on my right-hand territory, I have the other Spirit Host, the Knight of Shrouds, the other unit of Chain Rasps, and the other Dreadblade Harrow. So before we roll off, I'm going to start with a command point because I have a War Scroll Battalion, because we're running off to see who goes first in the first battle round.
I have 1, and I'm going to make the Nighthaunt go first.
Head into the first battle round with Nighthaunt, turn 1. And we forgot to mention our generals, the Lord Arcanum and the Lord Executioner are the generals for the 2 armies. So my turn's very simple. I'll get a command point in the hero phase, then my entire army round, so basically everyone's just getting towards the middle battle map with the Dreadblade going off ahead, and over on the right is the same deal, everyone's just running towards the middle. So that'll be it for my turn. On to Stormcast, turn 1.
So I gain a command point, and then we'll start by trying to cast Mystic Shield, needing a 6. Nope, I'm getting a 5. So partway through my movement phase, the Prosecutors and the Knight Azeros have jumped on top of the building. Then the Lord Arcanum is going to ride the Winds Etheric, and figured we might as well show this on camera. So I have to nominate a direction, which is going to be slightly to his left, forwards, kind of towards the this fold in the board here, I guess. And then I roll 6d6, and he moves that many inches, or he can't move at all if the move is impossible. So 6d6, 20 inches. And 20 inches is enough to get him pretty much exactly where I pointed. So yeah, he's right there in the middle of the board. And then the rest of my movement, all 3 of the remaining units ran. The Griff Hounds got to there. The Liberators were a bit slow, so they're still behind. And the Sequitors managed to get themselves over to here. That's all my movement, so on to the shooting phase. So these 2 Prosecutors here are in range of this Spirit Host, so they'll throw hammer at him. This one at the back is not, so he'll have to throw hammers at the Knight of Shrouds. At the Spirit Host, we've got 4 shots hitting on 4s, re-rolling 1s. Well, we need to re-roll 1. No hits at all. And then on the Knight of Shrouds, 2 shots hitting on 5s because he's got Lookout Sir. Re-rolling 1s. Nope, nothing. And that's it for my turn. The Prosecutors could technically declare a charge with their 3d6, but they'd need to roll like a 666 to get anywhere, so not going to bother.
And that's the end of the battle round, so for battle round 2 we'll be rolling off. Got a 2.
Oh, I got a 1.
Yeah, I think I will go first. So, my hero phase are going to command point, go up to 3, and then there's a fair amount of movement. So the 2 Spirit Hosts over here, and the Lord Executioner and the Chain Rasp have all moved out of the ruin to get towards the Sequitors. This Dreadblade has moved up closer to the Lord Arcanum. These Chain Rasps have just moved up closer to the middle as well. The Knight of Shrouds and the other Dreadblade are moving towards those Griff Hounds, and that last Spirit Host is going to go around the Sigmar statue. It'll be on to the charge phase, where I'll start with this Spirit Host, who's going to declare a charge. And it gets a 9, let's see if that's enough. So you can see it's finished in base contact with one of those Liberators, then I'll choose the Knight of Shrouds to go next. He gets a 3, that's the minimum he needed. I'll do the Dreadblade next to him as well, who gets a 4. This Dreadblade will charge as well. Getting a 7, that's easy enough. He's just going to come into the Lord Arcanum like that. And then over here, I'll start with this Spirit Host. He gets 5, that might be enough. Just enough to get him to there. And I'll do the chain rasps next. So they do have entangling, so they're at -2. Probably going to need to be a fairly good roll. That's 6, down to a 4, so it's not enough, so I'll spend a command point to re-roll that. Re-rolling, go into a 0, so then I will do the other spirit host. That gets an 8, and that's enough to get that spirit host in contact with the secretals as well. And finally the Lord Executioner will declare a charge. So the Lord Executioner's charge, going to need to be fairly big, a 9. 9 isn't quite enough to get him in range of the secretals, but I'm not going to re-roll it. So we'll be on to the combat phase. The Knight of Shrouds will spend a command point to use Lord of Geist on himself.
And my secretals are going to declare power to weapons.
So I'm actually going to pick the Knight of Shrouds to go first, see if we can whittle away the Griffhounds. So he has 5 attacks because of Lord of Geist. That hit on 3s, getting 3, and then wounding on 3s. Getting 2, so that's 4 damage straight up.
Yep, because there's no save for Griffhounds.
And then we've got 3 attacks from the horse hitting on 4s. They all hit. And wound on 5s. Getting another wound, so that's 5 damage in total.
So we're going to kill off this Griffhound here, and then this one takes 2 wounds and goes down to 1. I will pick the Griffhounds because then they can attack and hopefully retreat and not get hit by that Dreadblade. So they will pile in round the Dreadblade Harrow like this, and then they get their attacks on him. 5 attacks, because one of these is the Alpha, hitting on 3s. Getting 3 hits and wounding on 4s. 1.
4 plus save for Dreadblade, he's saved.
And then they get to make their darting attacks for their free retreat moves, so they can retreat this way and get themselves out further towards safety.
So next I'm going to pick this Spirit Host to go. Pile into that Secretor. So 6 attacks, hitting on 5s, 6s are mortal wounds. Well, there's 2 mortal wounds and no hits.
So that does 2 wounds, but these guys are wholly within 18 of the Lord Arcanum, so Cycle of the Storm will use to keep this one alive on 1 wound. There's my pick, so I'm going to pick the Lord Arcanum to go. He'll pile in forwards to get himself closer to the board edge, and then he's got his attacks on the Dreadblade Harrow. 4 attacks with his staff, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s though, because the Dreadblade Harrow will remember the Night Azeroth this time, so we can re-roll that 1. Into another 1, so only 2 hits. Wounding on 3s, only 1.
4 plus save, made it.
And then he's Griff Charger, 3 attacks hitting on 3s, 6 is doing a mortal wound instead. Oh, 2 mortal wounds and 1, which misses, so just 2 mortal wounds.
Right, so Dreadblade's down to 3. So I'm going to pick the remaining Spirit Host over here, see if we can drop some of the Secretors. Once again, 6 attacks, hitting on 5, 6 is mortal wounds. There's 2 ordinary hits. That wound on 4s, getting 2 wounds.
And 4 plus saves, re-rolling 1s. We may want to fail one, so we do take a wound. So this Secretor does die at the end. And it's my pick, so obviously we've got the Liberators to go before this Spirit Host. So they can all make it in like that. And we have 9 attacks hitting on 4s, re-rolling 1s because of the Night Azeroth. So a couple of 1s to re-roll. For another hit, so that's 5 hits. And 3s to wound. Oh, all of them.
4 plus saves for Spirit Host. Oh, failed them all. So that one dies. So this Dreadblade that is with the Knight of Shrouds is closer to the Night Azeroth than the Griffhounds, so you can't pile into them, so he's not going to do anything. I'm going to choose this Dreadblade to fight the Lord Arcanum. And he's piled in so that he's now within 9 inches of the Knight of Shrouds, so he can reroll 1s to wound. So we have 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, getting 3. Wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s, 2 wounds.
4 plus saves. Oh, made both.
And then 2 attacks with the horse, hitting on 4s, getting 1 hit. Wounding on 5s, rolling 1s. Nope.
And then I've just got the Secretors left, so they'll pile in like this. We're going to put all 3 Great Maces on this one Spirit Host here, and the remaining Stormsmite more on the other one. Just to try and get rid of one rather than be greedy and try and go for both. So all the Stormsmite Great Maces on the one Spirit Host, not within 10 of the Night Azeroth, so just 3s. Oh, we're re-rolling fails anyway because of powered weapons, so actually, never mind. 4 normal hits and a 6, which is D3, for 2 more. So 6 hits in total, wounding on 3s, 4.
4 plus saves for Spirit Hosts, only made 2, so it dies.
And the regular maul, 2 attacks hitting on 3s, re-rolling. Oh, wish they got the D3 extra. Wounding on 3s, 2.
4 plus save, made 1. Dead. 1 Spirit Host down to 2, and the other one dead. And that will be it for combat. So the Griffhounds have to make a battle rock test.
So on a 6, the wounded one will run away. Nope.
And on to Stormcast turn 2.
So I gain a command point, going up to 2, and then we'll just try and do an Arcane Bolt. Needing 5, getting a 7, so that... We're going to put that on this Spirit Host over here, because if I can kill it, the Secretors are free to move. D3 mortal wounds for 2, that's enough.
So that is a dead Spirit Host.
And also in the hero phase, we've got the Knight Azeroth's Light of Aesir, which does D3 mortal wounds to enemy units within 8 inches. So that's these 3 heroes, basically. So we'll do the Knight Shrouds, D3 for 2. The Dreadblade next to him, just 1. And the one fighting the Lord Arcanum for 3.
So this Dreadblade dies, the Knight Shrouds goes down to 4, and the other Dreadblade goes down to 4.
And then I would be able to get units off the board this turn, so I'll actually show you the run rolls. So the Griff Hounds are going to run. They need a 3 or more to get themselves wholly off the board edge. So their run roll is a 5, that's good. That's 1 unit off the board and a victory point for the Stormcast.
Yeah, you can see a Knight there, normal move gets them to there, so 5 is easy enough to get them both off the board. It's not entirely clear what over the battlefield edge is, but we're taking it to mean entirely over the battlefield edge.
And then the Lord Arcanum is easily within his 12-inch move of the edge of the board, so he's going to leave as well. And then the Prosecutors and the Knight Azeroth have come down off the building. Even with a maximum run roll, they couldn't quite make it off the board edge, so they're going to have to sit there and make themselves useful for a turn. The Liberators over here, they're engaged with the Knight Shroud, so they're actually going to stay in melee. And the Sequitors moved up their 5 inches. On to the shooting phase. The Prosecutors will throw some hammers at this Dreadblade Harrow here. We've got 6 shots hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s because of the Knight Azeroth.
Rerolling 1s because anyway.
Oh yeah, rerolling 1s anyway. So 5 hits. Wounding on 4s, 2.
4+ saves, failed both, down to 2 wounds.
In the charge phase, the Sequitors will declare a charge. So they roll a 7. So they'll charge like so, attacking the Chain Rasps. And the Knight Azeroth will declare a charge as well. He rolls a 7, that should be good. And he finishes his charge over there. Yeah, and I'll do my Sequitors attacking first. They will do power to weapons in the beginning of the fight phase.
The Knight of Shrouds will use Lord of Geist on this unit of Chain Rasps.
Yeah, and actually in light of that, because Lord of Geist happens before it's the beginning of the fight phase, so I will actually pick the Knight Azeroth to fight because he might actually get hit quite hard over there. So he has 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3 rolling 1s because of himself, so he can reroll that 1 into a hit, so we've got 3. Wounding on 3s, all of them. 5+
saves, Chain Rasps, make 2. I'll take away this one. I will pick this unit of Chain Rasps to go, so they can easily all get in. So we have 21 attacks hitting on 4s. So that's only 9 hits. Then wounding on 4s. 4.
4 pluses to save, rerolling 1s. Reroll 1. Okay, so we only take 1 wound. And put that on that Sequitor there. I'll pick these Liberators to go because they are within 3 inches of the Knight of Shrouds, so they can pile in. Piling in, they can only get 2 of them in range of the Knight of Shrouds, but we do bring the Dreadblade Harrow into combat as well. 5 attacks hitting on 3s, not rerolling. Knight of Shrouds 2 rather away. No, 1s anyway, so 2. There's 3 hits because the 3 does give them +1 to hit against things with 5 or more wounds. And 3s to wound, we've got 2.
4+ save, made both. So I'll actually pick this Dreadblade to go, just in case if I pick the Knight of Shrouds, you might take away the ones in the front and then he won't be able to fight. It's 4 attacks because he didn't charge, hitting on 3s, getting 3. And wounding on 3s, you're rolling 1s because he's near a Knight of Shrouds. Roll that 1, getting 2 wounds, that's -1.
5+ save, you're rolling 1s, make 1 failable.
2 attacks on the horse, hitting on 4s, getting a single hit. Wounds on the 5, you're rolling 1s. No.
We'll just put a wound on one really far away. Then we've got my Sequitors over here. 7 attacks with the big maces, hitting on 3s, rerolling because we did power to weapons. 1 6 so far, and another 6 with the reroll. So 3 + 2d3, 3 + 5 is 8 hits. Wounding on 3s, 7.
5+ saves.
Only 6 then.
Yeah, only 6 of them died.
And we've got the other Maul as well. 2 attacks on 3s, they hit, and they wound on 3s. 1.
5+, no. It's going to be 7 dead Chain Rasps in all. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now I'll pick the other Chain Rasp unit to go and we'll pile into the Knight Azeroth. So the Chain Rasp will pile in like that. No need to try and surround the Knight Azeroth because he can just fly off the board next turn if he survives. And we have 28 attacks in total because of the extra ones from Lords of Geist, so I'll do 2 batches of 14, hitting on 4s. So there's a 5 from the first batch, and the next batch, 8, so that's 13 in total. And then they are wounding on 4s, 7.
He has a 3+ save, which he's failed 3, so he's actually down to 2 wounds. So he's down to 2.
Finally, the Knight of Shrouds is going to go. He's not going to pile in. So 4 attacks hitting on 3s, getting 3. Wounding on 3s, getting 1.
5+ save. Oh, made it.
2 attacks with his horse. They hit on 4s, getting 1. And wound on 5s, getting 1.
4+ save. Oh, made that as well.
So that's it for combat. On the Battleshock phase, the Chain Rasp unit has to take a Battleshock test. I don't have a command point to make them auto-pass. So on a 1, 2 or a 3, they're alright. Oh, that's a 6, so the remaining ones will run away. or dissipate, presumably, rather than running away. And that'll be at the end of the turn and the battle round. And we'll be rolling off to battle round 3.
Right, one.
Yeah.
So I think I win.
Yeah, so Stormcast obviously going to go first, and we don't need to show it, but the Night Azeros and the Prosecutors can just move up the board. That will give the Stormcast 4 victory points to 0. So we'll call that a Stormcast victory, and we'll count that for you now. So that was the game for issue 53 of Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine. That didn't go very well for me. How did it go for you?
Well, obviously it went very well for me. It's nice to have a scenario. It's nice to be having scenarios at last that are different, rather than just take the objectives or kill everything. But this one was almost comically easy for me, because I had 4 very fast units that you were going to find difficult to kill.
Yeah, well, I think I did make some mistakes. I think I possibly charged too early. It might have been better to make you go first in the second turn. I probably could have blocked off the Griff Hounds going down the middle with their retreat move, and probably attacking the Lord Arcanum was probably a bit pointless. Might have been better to send the Dreadblade off to something else.
Yeah, maybe, because the place where he was, he could move off the board in the next turn anyway. So yeah, you probably could have deployed him out that Dreadblade somewhere else, I guess.
I guess the issue is that with the Lord Arcanum, if you get a good roll and ride the Wind's Etheric, it's quite easy to get a whole ton of movement and just move him off the board. And he's probably tough enough that he'll survive, or the Knight will be out of position. And the Prosecutors and the Night Azeros are so fast and flying that I would need to use my cavalry to chase after them. But you can basically just go straight across and they'll probably survive unless you get unlucky, and you can basically guarantee a draw that way. So the other thing, since you can pile in around models, I'd need to surround your units or tie them up so you can do that. But I only had 2 units of chainmail that could really do that. Yeah,
and they just weren't fast enough. I mean, when I saw the battle plan setup, I thought it was going to be a long way for me to run and you could probably easily cut me off. But actually, the units that you needed to be cutting me off with, like the chainmails, which are like a big speed bump, aren't fast enough to get into position before my fast units can get there.
I mean, I'd probably swap the 2 Dreadblades for the Harridans if I had a choice, just to have more models.
I suppose also Spirit Hosts in theory are quite tanky, but my Liberators were rather miffed at being charged, and then the Sequitur obviously got 3 maces will blow anything away. So actually, I wonder if, given that your charge only did relatively minimal damage to things, maybe with the 2 Spirit Hosts on the Sequitur side, perhaps if you'd only charged one of them in.
Yeah, it probably would have been better to try and just hold you up.
Yeah, and then kept another one back.
Just to survive a turn.
It's kind of hard to know, though, isn't it, without...
Yeah, I mean, if that other Spirit Host hadn't died, your Secretors would have been held up for another turn and stuff like that.
You had to get a bit lucky with the... I blew up the 2 units that I needed to kill with Arcane Bolt and the Lantern. It didn't matter for the Lord Arcanum because he could have run away anyway, but the Secretors being able to charge dealt with the unit of Chain Rasps that otherwise would have been in the way. It didn't really come up because they were all dead anyway, but having 3 individual Spirit Hosts is actually really bad when there's something like the Night Azeros' Lantern around. Yeah. Because he can do multiple wounds to all 3 of them all at once.
And the Spirit Flasks.
Right, yeah, and the Spirit Flasks. So...
The other issue as well is that if I move units in your path, you can charge them, which gets you extra movement.
Yeah, so I think you did kind of have the right idea in coming from the flank, because that way I didn't want to charge off on an angle. Yeah, I suppose if you had been able to do more damage to the Griffhounds or just block them off, they wouldn't have got off the board. And then, but having said that, my Sequitors were still, there were 4 of them, and they were basically right on the board edge. So the Lord Executioner might have been able to hold them up for a turn, but whether he would have lasted...
I probably would have sent him after the Prosecutors. I mean, if the Knight of Shrouded and the Dreadblade had killed the Liberators and become unengaged, and I'd gone first in the 3rd round, the Chainross might have killed the Night Azeros, and I would have brought the 2 Cavalry back and the Lord Executioner to charge the Prosecutors. Yeah. And there would have been 2 victory points to 2. I mean, you might not have been able to get enough movement to get all the Secretors off the board.
I suppose it's probably a difficult scenario to balance as well, because it does actually depend quite a lot on who gets the turn roll-offs, and also if you gave me too few fast units, I wouldn't have had a chance.
Yeah, you get blocked off too easily.
If I had too many infantry, but as it was, I could win by sending my fast units, and the infantry were just there to die, really, just hold everybody else up.
Oh, and the new Realmscape features, probably just going to be kind of annoying for everyone.
And it did come into play, it stopped the Chainroths making a charge.
I guess it would punish faster armies.
It's also going to be more annoying for armies that actually want to charge. If you're a shooty army, it probably doesn't bother you so much.
But the other thing is that it's still, even with all the terrain, it's still fairly open, so it's quite easy to manoeuvre around it.
And some of the other ones aren't quite so, they're a little bit more interesting, they add a little bit more flavour to the game. This one, as you say, it just feels like it's just impedes everybody.
The Realmscape features are optional, and I do think that having a rule that basically just hurts everyone is, well, I'd probably just agree to not use that.
I guess actually technically we could have also used the Metamorphic Warding spell.
Could have used Living Blades as well on the Night of Shrouds when he charged, because he would have got 2 more hits.
Yeah, I think that's the only time it would have been useful. I only tried to cast 2 spells and 1 I failed anyway.
I don't think there's too much more to say about this issue of this game, so if you like this content, please leave a like and subscribe, and leave any comments. If you played this game, tell us how you got on. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.